What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. It's your boy Marty Bent here for a second week in a row of Rabbit Hole Recap where Matt and I are away from each other. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. What's up, freaks? Glad to be here.
You've been a little world traveler these last couple weeks. Look like you're in a sunny place now, getting
Yeah,
some good vitamin D.
yeah. I'm out in California for a wedding. So that's like a 10-hour time difference from Riga. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I haven't really slowed down at all this last week, and I mean neither has TFTC, right? This is like probably the most lit week in TFTC history. Just dropping apps left and right.
Big week of content. Big week of content. We're going to get to all of that and Matt's trip to Riga. First, we got the current price according to the TFTC.io ticker is $10,000, $10,143.84. Excuse me. Current block height is 595,796. The current hash rate is 91.62 exahash per second. This episode of Tales from the Crypt is brought to you by Bull Bitcoin, our Canadian freaks. We got a little poem for you from our friends at Bull Bitcoin. Here's some prose. As Bitcoin, it's called A Cautionary Tale from bullbitcoin.com. As Bitcoin rebounds and things get exciting, to newcomers, number go up sounds inviting. They sign up to Coinbase to investigate the chatter and are served up a hot, steamy shitcoin platter. EOS and Ripple and Bcash, oh my, the graveyard where stack sats of noobs go to die. A swing and a miss, they didn't connect. Their diversified bundles are now fucking wrecked. Noobs don't deserve this, their gains are on ice. At least now they know hodling Bitcoin will suffice. So buy on Bull Bitcoin if you're in Canada, eh? No alts, no noise, and it's staying that way. Visit bullbitcoin.com to buy and spend Bitcoin in Canada or bitcoinoutlet.com anywhere in the world to grab some awesome swag and not look like a pleb. Beautiful poem there. There's the words of Bull Bitcoin.
Not
Bullbitcoin.com. Check them out. You Canadian freaks, if you're looking to stack sats up there, check out Bull Bitcoin.
quite possibly the most unique ad read I've ever heard.
Definitely. And for you American freaks out there, this episode is also brought to you by the Cash App. American, UK, wherever you are that you can download the Cash App. Make sure you're doing. If you're in the States, they're allowing you to stack sats. But if you're anywhere in the world, make sure you use the promo code stacking sats. That's one word, STACKINGSATS. You're going to get $5. And then $5 is going to go to our friends at Owls Lacrosse. On top of that, you're going to be able to buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, send Bitcoin to a personal wallet, send Bitcoin from a personal wallet to the app, and then you get the Boost program where you get a Boost card. You can personalize it, spend it. You can use it anywhere the Visa's accepted. And then if you go to special merchants that are teamed up with Boost, you're going to get some money back. Or not money back, money off. They have Boost deals. You get $1 off coffee, 5% off Whole Foods. This weekend, actually, I saw on Twitter, this Cash App Friday, the Cash App team tweeted out 10% off Nike. So check your Boost if you're looking to buy some fall workout gear and you're going to Nike this weekend. 10% boost. Use the code Stacking Sats. You're gonna get $5. $5 goes to Owls. Download the Cash App at your local app store today. Let's take advantage of that Nike. I think I'm gonna take advantage of the Nike Boost.
Bitstein suggested that they add a boost for stacking sats, so you could stack sats while stacking sats.
Just compound stacking.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I
like
the
that.
idea.
I'm for it too. I'm for it as well. How back to your travels? How was Riga?
Dude,
I'm sorry I couldn't make it this year.
Dude, Riga was fucking dope. Last year when I missed it, you gave me like a ton of FOMO. And I absolutely saw exactly what you said. The city was so fucking cool. It was such a small city that like Bitcoiners just took over the city. So we were just... I mean, like you mentioned, you were like, it had like a revolutionary type feel to it when we were just like drinking in these. Are they medieval?
Dark
How
old
old
valleys.
are they? Yeah.
I bet it's medieval.
Like
It's,
those old bars.
European continent is. Yeah, that the Bull Bitcoin dinner actually looked really cool. Where was that? Like some dungeon?
Yeah, it was like in an old cellar or something that was, stone walled. And we made Jimmy Song auction his hat off again, just like in Dallas. He tried to just auction off the book, and there was a chant for hat, and he had to auction off his hat as well. So that was funny.
He should start stacking hats. This is becoming a thing.
Well, it's supposedly like a $200 Stenson hat. So I was like, dude, just when you go to do the auction, you should not don't wear your finest hat. Or have an extra.
A good move.
Just have an extra. But I compel anyone who's ever in a situation where Jimmy Song is auctioning off something for a charity to do a hat chant and try and get him to give his hat up as well.
Yes, it's a very popular thing these days at the Bitcoin conferences. What was the content like? What did I miss?
Well, the content was great. I just want to just go back for a second. Just the people in general, like meeting people and having these conversations on the sides of the conference was just awesome. I think that's the best part. It is really great that their live stream was super high quality. So we're gonna put the links to the live streams in the show notes if you want to see the talks. But you can see the talks on the live stream, but you can't see the conversations that happen on the side. I met freaks from all around the world. From like Poland, Hawaii, Russia, like that's so fucking badass.
Shout out to all you freaks out there.
Yeah, it was really cool. So much love. What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, so I met the whole BTC Pay team. They had like BTC Pay Day there, and then we just got completely wrecked at night, which was fucking fantastic. And they like ran out of shirts, so when I met Pavel Necks of BTC Pay, who I've like known online for like a decent amount of time, and he was like, "Why aren't you wearing a BTC Pay shirt?" And he went to his backpack. He's like, "Let me get you one." They had no BTC Pay shirts, and he took off the shirt that he was wearing, and we swapped shirts so that I could have a BTC Pay shirt on. And I just thought that was pretty fucking baller.
Hey, Bitcoiners will give you the shirt off their back. Don't ever say they're not good people,
Yeah, exactly. It gives the expression a whole new meaning. But as for the talks are great. Jeremy Welch's talk was really interesting. So he really, Jeremy Welch of Casa, he really focused on the issue with malicious extensions, like browser extensions, and these extensions, you give them a bunch of permissions, right? And so you're giving them access to all the stuff that you're using in your browser screen. So you have to be like very careful about which extensions you use. And when you're doing anything with sensitive information or stuff like that, you want to, like, the ideal, I guess, would be like to use like private or incognito browsing and not have any extensions installed.
Yeah, and it's like an effort of full transparency here at TFTC. Jeremy called out Unchained Capital, specifically a company that's been sponsoring this podcast and my newsletter for quite a while now, and a company that we respect dearly. And so, yeah, he executed a man-in-the-middle attack on their web browser site, or on their site, using a web browser extension bug. And that is... So that is one thing that you have to be aware of. Again, as Matt said, like especially in Unchained's setup in particular, like make sure you're in incognito or a private browser and those extensions aren't on. Matt, what do you got something to say?
Well, so what he did was they created a malicious extension, right?
Yes.
And they used that malicious extension to pull data from the page and to manipulate data on the page. So, one thing they displayed was like pulling, like KYC information. And then the other thing they did was change the receive address, the deposit address. Now, deposit addresses on websites are pretty much impossible to do like securely. So what Unchained does is they let you verify it yourself. It's just a difficult process to verify it yourself. So a lot of people aren't doing it. So people should verify it themselves. The other issue is, when you use like Trezor's web wallet, for instance, the way they get around it is they show it on the hardware wallet screen. But I think there's some like I think Trezor and Ledger need to update their hardware wallets. That's my understanding, to be able to show it on the screen, the receive address, to verify the receive address. I'm not positive, but that would be the ideal, right? To show it on the screen. And then yeah, so like the third thing is like, especially like Bitcoin focused extensions, like for instance, like the Lolly extension supposedly has enough permissions to pull off an attack like this. So like even if they weren't going to pull off the attack, if they got compromised and someone else pulled it off, they could attack not just on chain, they could attack Coinbase, like Binance, like anywhere you see a receive address on like on the web browser, there's like it's very difficult to verify it, that what you're seeing is the correct address.
No, and like on top of building their products, they're also open sourcing these solutions as well. So like they just released the Hermit protocol, which is how to do this multi-sig solution by yourself without them. And you can, I think, in that protocol, it teaches you how to verify the address as well within this setup. So they are, like, the team is working on making it as secure as possible. But these vulnerabilities exist. And again, this is a beware situation. Definitely be aware and be thinking adversarially at all times especially when you're interacting with Bitcoin addresses. Invoices. Should we start saying invoices over addresses? That's another question.
Well, I think we should say addresses because people still expect addresses. But anyway,
yeah, that's true.
I think the biggest single improvement you can do here is to just, whenever you're handling any kind of sensitive information, like use a private browsing window with no extensions, because these extensions are they're additional security holes, and most people like will not actually verify anything they see. So you just want to remove them from the equation. This attack couldn't have been pulled off without an extension installed. So just something to definitely keep in mind, and worth reminding people over and over again, I think. So we should definitely make a point of doing that, because there's a big push for extensions, especially in this space, I think, and we should reduce reliance on
it's
that.
Easy. Yeah, and I mean, I'm guilty of it. I get complacent. Like, I write the bent, and I fucking Grammarly, or at least I did after Jeremy's presentation. I deleted it, but I've been using Grammarly for a while to help with my writing. But considering the permissions they have, it's like, all right. So if the bent has more spelling errors than it already does in the future, that's why. If you have any extensions that don't have as many, permissions as Grammarly that could help me, let me know. Tweet at me. But yeah, definitely illuminating. Like, again, like the internet is still pretty insecure.
I mean, because I remember I used to talk about a lot that, like, the MetaMask extension, for instance, on Ethereum. Like, I feel like there was a point there in 2017 where, like, every Ethereum user had MetaMask installed on their browser, right? Like, that's pretty crazy. So you gotta be careful with this kind of thing.
Yeah. Be aware.
So what other talks did I see that were good? The Rodolfo's talk was fantastic. It was a lot of fun on the ColdCard. I really enjoyed that one. That one's definitely a must watch. Haas's talk was really fun. Safe's talk was really good. He did his the biggest threat to Bitcoin is the gold standard coming back. But he does agree that that's never going to happen. So there you go. You have that. I did a panel, which I thought went really well. I had a bunch of traders and got them to agree. I had Florian, Whale Panda, Tone Vase, and Ambroid on, and I got them all to agree, except for Ambroid, that stacking sats makes more sense for most people than trading. And Ambroid said that you should trade because he wants to dump his bags on you. So it was like pretty good, and it was fun. It was a good time. And yeah, I just had a really good time. I think I'll go back next year for sure. Just big thanks to the Hodl Hodl team for throwing it all together.
Yeah, and it's so good. Like, I was up here like 4 a.m. Saturday morning. I woke up to take a pee, and then because of the Dig channel, I wanted to make sure the live link was up there, so I got it up there right away. But I found myself at 4 a.m. on Saturday, like, just watching the live feed for like half an hour. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I need to get back to bed.
The Keto Miner talk was good, really good too. It was great seeing the Nodal guys.
That was
there.
really good.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about that too, because that's actually a really good idea. Like, it's talk what they want to do at Nodl and software is create like a bunch of redundancies so you can self-host your hardware and have a little bit more certainty that you'll have the uptime that you're granted with like an AWS or something like that. Correct?
And their main focus is they're still going to make consumer product. They have the Nodl Samurai just got leaked, not leaked, but they released images of the final design. But their big push here is to like very reliable cloud providing, right? So like BTC Pay on their servers, point and click, and you're like ready to go. And they're very hard to DDoS, like denial of service attack them. So they're up all the time. He said something really interesting to me. That like it's Murphy's Law, right? Like the time a merchant is going to need BTC Pay to work, like it'll probably be down. So you need instead of having everyone storing on like a single Luna node instance, it'll be redundant and like extra reliable and very quick response time.
Yeah. No, it was a fascinating talk, and I think it's a really good actually follow up to our interview with them from June, because they were sort of hinting at stuff like this, and this was sort of an elaboration of that.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed that talk. It was just a really good. I mean, I suggest people just watch through the whole fucking thing. Just watch through day 1 and day 2. It's worth it. It's up there for free on YouTube. And just do it in pieces. You don't have to. I have to actually watch a bunch of them too because I was just having conversation with people outside. So I'm looking forward to watching it in full complete.
You get stuck outside having those conversations at conferences like that a lot.
Yeah, but like the way I look at it is you can always watch the live stream. You can't have that conversation again, right? So I try and keep a good balance. Oh, Murad's talk was really good. I saw that one.
The Neil Woodfine's Nakamoto Institute versus Cato Institute meme made it into that presentation. That was a funny little moment in that presentation.
Yeah, I chuckled when I saw that one. He switched slides too quickly. I was disappointed.
Right. Do you think your impersonator was watching the live stream?
Oh yeah. We have to tell the freaks. Did you get a message on Keybase?
I don't know. I haven't even checked. Probably. Let me check right now.
I woke up in the morning in Riga, and there was just like a ton of people saying, there's this guy who goes by Matty Odell. He just put a Y in my name. And he's been messaging people on Keybase with my profile picture and asking them to send him money and that he will send it back. So that is not me. It was pretty cool that so many people noticed it right away and posted about it and reached out to me before I even knew it was happening. So that was cool.
Matty Odell has not friend requested me on Keybase yet.
There you
I'm
go.
ashamed.
Did you see Tosh Toshi's? He was the one who did the first big disclosure on Twitter, and what he did was he responded to the guy. He was like, "How many sats per dollar?" And the guy was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, it's definitely not Matt." And he posted the screenshot.
Very sly, Doge Toshi. Yeah, very very good troll job there. Fucking scam the scammer. After our talk last week, dude, after we told everybody to dump their Stellar, why is the price of Stellar rising if all the freaks are dumping it into the Tor Foundation?
These guys started construction outside, so I moved inside just in case it comes up on the mic for the freaks, just as a heads up. Yeah, fucking Stellar pumped. What the fuck was with that? I don't know, man. I hope our exposure didn't give it a boost. That would be a shame. Dump your Stellar.
Is Stellar going to be the rare Pepes that tears the Matt and Marty apart like it did Jinseth and DeRose?
No, definitely not, because we both are anti-Stellar.
That's true. what else do we got here? This is Matt's moving right now. This is we need to get you back in the studio, dude. Feels weird looking at you through the computer screen. So it has been a big week of content here at TFTC. Like, if you guys haven't checked out, this is like the next topic. We did an episode yesterday with Jack Mahlers about Olympus, which is like a new service within Zap that users can take advantage of. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we also did an episode with Raoul Powell and our 100th episode with Arbed Out and an episode with Carla Kirk Cohen. Don't miss that Carla episode. It's a really good episode if you want to learn about Lightning Network. But, just a great week of content, great conversations. I think the Raoul conversation was really timely. And obviously, Jack, we recorded that episode a week and a half ago about Olympus. So we've been sitting on that for a bit now, and it's great to see that it's finally launched. So if you freaks haven't heard yet, Olympus allows you basically to go from fiat, from having 0 Bitcoin to using Lightning within 10 seconds. We'll link to the announcement in the show notes, and there's a YouTube video within there, and Jack does a demonstration of using the app, and it's crazy. He has 0 Bitcoin on the app. He buys $10 worth and buys something on Bitrefill within like 15 seconds. So talk about a great onboarding mechanism. It's I think something huge just dropped. Like, I think this is huge for mass adoption.
It's so fucking badass. I think it's a really big fucking deal. It was pretty crazy. I didn't want to talk about it when I was in Riga because it hadn't launched yet. But I was like, so it was super fucking hard to keep it in at Riga, and it was just, it's so badass. People, like, this is how you can easily onboard people. One of the big things that I think wasn't really mentioned much is that KYC element is so streamlined in his implementation, because the only KYC is not the driver's license, is the actual debit card number. Like, that has the KYC built in. Because I was testing out, so the SparkSwap beta launched as well this week, and with SparkSwap, it's a similar concept, right? You onboard directly onto Lightning. It actually hooks right into Zap too, so it's a very similar concept. But to set up, you have to use a third-party KYC, and you have to give them, name, current address, phone number, email address, and a photo of your driver's license or your passport. So that's
and
like
social too, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't get to that part because when I got to the driver's license, I was like, I'm not going to upload it. But so even if people are willing to do that, it just adds so much more friction to the experience, right? Like, if it's just a debit card, that's a big deal, I think. I think that's a really huge deal.
Yeah, and the other thing about Olympus too, I'm pretty sure, yes, you can buy and get it straight to Lightning, but I'm not sure that's the only way to buy. I'm pretty sure you can buy on-chain. You can buy UTXOs as well.
Really?
Like,
we didn't talk about
on-chain.
that when we talked with Jack, right?
I believe we've focused on Lightning for most of the episode, but if you read the press release that he launched at his blog post yesterday, it seems that is the case.
Oh,
at least how I read it.
awesome.
I could be wrong.
That's awesome. I think SparkSwap is Lightning only. But that's awesome that there's an on-chain component as well. Just makes it easier for people.
Yeah, if you freaks want to learn about Olympus and how it came to be, Jack's been working on this for like over a year now, and it's a long story of negotiating with regulators and trying to figure out how to make it work with Lightning and stuff like that. The regulator conversation is quite lightning because Jack is somebody who fought to get the least amount of KYC on his app and made a good argument that, like, why should I have to hold all this information if it's associated with the debit card? The bank has all that information. Why spread that data out amongst other third parties as well? So it is a good precedent, if anything, is a great precedent of as little KYC intrusiveness as possible. So go check that out. That's on the podcast apps, wherever, if you haven't heard it yet. And then try to sign up for the beta. So it's in beta. They're going to slow roll it out in the U.S. first and then move on to to, I believe, Europe and the United Kingdom after that. After they get testing, they're going to roll it out low and slow, make sure it's working, make sure the infrastructure's there. But again, like, so one cohort of potential users that could use this are companies like Gab that have been completely deplatformed, by payments processors. So, like, they can't get USD sent to them by PayPal, Stripe, Square, whatever it may be at the moment. But and their users may not be using Bitcoin as much as they liked. But now with something like Zap and Olympus, it's much easier for somebody to quickly buy Bitcoin and scan a QR code, LN invoice, and sort of help support these deplatform companies as well.
Yeah, I mean, because you need to have the ability to, like, BTC Pay is only one element. Like, if you're able to receive transactions, that's not enough. Like, the actual users need to be able to easily get onboarded and pay, pay for the services they need. All these little microtransactions and even more, like subscription type deals where you like maybe due for like a couple months or stuff like that, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, the UX flow is such that it seems that it would enable your everyday non-Bitcoin user to sort of pick it up and use Bitcoin without the complexity of trying to figure out how to produce an address and move Bitcoin from an exchange to their own wallet. The Olympus and Zap take care of that for you now, where you're handing them USD, they're setting you up with a channel that you can go and use as you see fit immediately. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is the user is just always seeing sats, right? So, like, we're quickly making sats the standard. They just put in their debit card, they get some sats, they send some sats to, like, content producers and different organizations and stuff like that. Like, that's pretty crazy. I love it.
We'll see how widely adopted it is. Again, it's in beta right now. Try to sign up for it, test it out. Spark Swap as well. They're out there in beta as well. Test them out if you want to see a similar service. It's doing it a different way. But the big news in Bitcoin this week was huge. Square Crypto came out. They hired 3 new devs. Finally made their announcement earlier this week. Valentine Wallace, Jeffrey Zizes, I just ruined that, and Eric Sossman. And then they announced their funding for BTC Pay. Did we talk about that last week, or
no,
that was Saturday? They announced that on Saturday.
No, it got set on. It got set on Friday Riga time. It got set on Friday, but right after we recorded. Okay. That was the issue. And yeah, I saw the BTC Pay guys. They're super excited about it. I kept poking fun at Rockstar and telling him he was a corporate project now. It's a publicly traded company. But I think, what was it, $100,000?
$100,000 grant. BTC Pay server set up a foundation to accept grants like this and donations like this, I believe. And yeah, I think it's crazy for Square to step out. Obviously, Disclosure, Cash App's a sponsor, but whatever. Square's doing dope shit right now. Square Crypto in particular. I mean, Square is a company that has a main revenue driver in their proof of sale systems.
Point of sales.
Point of sales. What did I say? Proof of sale?
Proof of sales, yeah. Fucking POS.
In their point of sale systems, and BTC Pay server is essentially that, but for a Bitcoin world. So they came out, Square Crypto did, with a great blog post and Twitter thread explaining why they decided to back BTC Pay server, and essentially it came down to Bitcoin's an open source technology. We're all going to be leveraging it. It's probably best that we are at the forefront of what's happening in the open source world and sort of aid in that, so we are as best prepared as a company in the future when the stuff is more mainstream than it is now. So basically, network effects helped number go up. It was a very good partnership.
Yeah.
Grant.
Yeah, I mean, I think BTC Pay is one of the most important projects we have in the space, and I'm glad that Square realizes that as well. And the other thing to keep in mind here is that they as long as the space grows and gets better, like they get an advantage as a Bitcoin company too. Like, everyone gets that advantage, And that's like one of the beautiful parts of like the incentive structure of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a feedback loop, network effects, Square is seeing that they're going to be able to leverage this technology in the future, and they probably will be leveraging it as they already are. So it makes a lot of sense to sort of aid in the fortifying of that system and the build out of that system. So again, kudos to Square Crypto. And they hired 3 devs. I believe one actually came from the Libra project, another from Google, I believe. Is that correct? Let me look this up real quick.
I'm not sure. They had it in the announcement tweet. You know, the other thing is, like, they definitely don't compete with each other because, you know, there's going to be certain merchants that want to use a regulated. I mean, they don't even do Bitcoin merchant processing yet, first of all, Cash App. But if they do eventually, there's going to be certain merchants that want to use a regulated, you know, KYC platform. And there's going to be some merchants that want to run their own. And, you know, like the truly exciting Bitcoin ones will be the ones that are running their own because it'll be enabling things that aren't possible in the current system.
Yeah, like buying final thoughts. You can do that at theftc.io/dime-back. But yeah, exactly. So funded VTC Pay, and then they came out this week and announced the 3 devs. So one of them's from Lightning Labs, another one's from Facebook's Libra team, and formerly BitGo, and then another from Google. So again, Val, Jeff, and Eric, excuse me. It's their Square's team. I guess at least their initial team is formed, and I guess they'll be contributing to Bitcoin open source projects from here on out. So it'll be interesting to see what that team does now that it's fully formed, now that the Power Rangers are together.
And I think the announcement was Saturday. That makes more sense. It wasn't Friday. But yeah, that's awesome. So did you see hash rate hit a new all-time high again? We just keep hitting new all-time highs every week.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually the cool thing about the TFTC.io ticker. Like if you just have it, I have the site up in the background, and you see it oscillate. It's crazy how much it oscillates during the day, but it has been oscillating up and to the right. Again, earlier this week, I would check my browser, and it'd be hovering in the low 80s, but the last couple days, low to high 90s, and I caught it at like 107 yesterday, I believe, at one point when I looked at it.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, so it's worth noting to the freaks here that this is all estimated by the difficulty and how long the average blocks are coming in, right? And then that's how they reverse engineer what we think the hash rate is.
Yes, and for any of you freaks who are not aware, the difficulty adjusts every 2016 blocks, so roughly every 2 weeks. So depending on how fast blocks are coming in before the next, what's it called, difficulty epoch? Is that what we call it? Or before the next adjustment?
Yeah, that's why I always say adjustment.
Yeah, the hash rate will be dictated by that.
Well, the hash rate, the measurement of the hash rate, what we see will
the measurement
be
of the yes, the measurement of the hash
rate. Hash rate
yes.
don't give a shit, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been crazy to see. And again, this is we've talked about this a couple times on RHR the last few weeks. This coincides with the launching of the new What's miners, the M20. And if you go on ASIC miner value, it's actually a good site to check the profitability of individual miners. It looks like that new What's miner is at least in the top 2 efficient miners on the market right now by considerable amount. So these miners will be expanding into the market over the next couple months too. I'm pretty sure their initial shipments aren't even finished yet. So these are more efficient, more powerful miners, and that's what you would expect when they get released on the market like this, for hash rate to go up as it has, and it's been going up pretty crazy. It's more than doubled since the beginning of May, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very positive sign. I mean, mining is very much like a leveraged bet on Bitcoin. So clearly, there's a lot of people that are bullish, right? And they think that the price will go up. The other thing is, did you see? So Tor is now using BTC Pay. So that's It's like we were talking about earlier, right? Like that's exactly what they should be using as their payment processor. And they're not even using it. They're not a payment processor. They're hosting their own payment processor, basically. And it's huge for privacy. Like, I think they had a fixed address for a little bit there, which is not good at all. And then they
have fixed addresses for everything else, it looks like. I checked that donations page.
Yeah, so this is why it's new addresses. They accept Lightning. Yeah, it's just that's really good. It's the ideal. That's like the ideal type of organization that would benefit from something like BTC Pay that is very hard to censor and stop.
Yes, and we obviously use BTC Pay Server as well on our site, and I must public service announcement to you freaks who are buying the shirts via BTC Pay Server. Excuse me, buying the shirts and then paying via BTC Pay Server, paying in Bitcoin. It is a bit of a manual process because it is a workaround connecting BTC Pay Server up with Shopify. So I have to manually mark the shirts as paid in Shopify after you pay in Bitcoin. So if it takes a little bit to get a confirmation email or you're like wondering what's happening, I'm most likely asleep or away from my computer. But I am actively looking to make sure that I'm marking all these BTC Pay Server invoices that have been paid as paid in Shopify as well.
One step at a time, right?
Yes. So it's a bit of a manual process if you're paying in Bitcoin. So don't fret.
Did you see what happened with Snowden's book? I feel like Snowden would be he's a perfect example of someone who could use BTC Pay and gives people a real reason to actually spend Bitcoin.
Yeah, the government come out and deplatform him this week?
He started selling his book, and the government is trying to take all the profits from the book, I believe.
Yes, and he tweeted out, this is good for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, he did tweet out, this is good for Bitcoin, which is definitely, the tweeting out, this is good for Bitcoin is good for Bitcoin. But I think it all is, because it highlights, this is why we need uncensorable payments. It's the same thing that happened with WikiLeaks, I feel like, and originally, when they tried to cut off all of WikiLeaks donations.
Yes. And it's, so but what is Snowden's book called?
I'm not sure, but it's about, everything.
I'm not sure either.
It's like recovering all of his leaks, and I think it's some about his own personal story and whatnot. But they're saying that it's their intellectual property. And I think they might actually be trying to block it in entirety. So that's why there was more talk this week about, which I think is a really important point to keep bringing up, is that when you buy these books digitally, like you buy it through Amazon Kindle or something, they can always edit it or pull it after the fact. Not your paper, not your books. So you need to, you want to, every time you buy a book, you're like increasing the censorship resistance of that specific book, because it gets located in all these different places.
A physical book?
Yeah, like you need to buy a physical book, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
I'm a big physical book guy myself.
Yeah, but a lot of people say it's because of the feel and stuff, which I respect. But like really, like I think the big thing here is like it's very hard to censor a book once it's printed and distributed. You have to like go and do book burning.
Yeah. Did you see that on Twitter? Was there like some teacher or some school in America like burning a bunch of books? Did you see that tweet?
No, I missed that. I hope not.
There's a tweet about, there was a school district, not burning books, but they had books in two big trash cans that they were taking out of the school because they were putting bad thoughts in kids' minds, apparently. It's not a good sign.
Slippery slope.
Very slippery slope. Speaking of slippery slopes, Bobby Lee, the Lee brothers, love their slippery slopes here. He's got a new horrible product. This is Matt Odell's wording here, his verbiage. BalletCrypto that nobody should use. It's a card that nobody should use. What are your thoughts on this, Matt? They don't look good from what I'm reading.
Dude, I don't fucking know what's going on. Like, he can't think this is a good idea. So is he like he's just actively lying to people, or does he think it's a good idea? So he launched.
So the deal is,
tell him.
Like private keys are exposed. It sounds.
No. So, do you remember back in the day we used to have like those, like people would sell those like wallet cards, and they would just have like they would have a private key behind like a scratch off or a foil, and then they would have a
Yes.
displayed showed public key.
Yes.
That's what he's doing a Kickstarter for, and he's calling it a secure wallet, and he made it like fancy. So like he's
producing the private keys.
Yeah.
It's like the Castaceous coin problem.
Yeah, he's generating the private keys, and then he's telling you that he's destroying them after he generates them. But they could just sweep them whenever, or they could even be storing the pub keys too, one or the other, or you know, because if they have the private key, they have the pub key as well. But and tracking you, but yeah, it's fucked up. There's no reason to do that. It's fucking 2019. There are better ways. People should be using hardware wallets. Open dimes are like great in this situation. The open dime literally generates the private key after you get it. You even give it some entropy.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to add like a picture file or something, right?
Yeah, you drag and drop files until it has enough entropy, and then it generates. But yeah, so this product is fucking horrible. It's bad for so many reasons, and I don't know why. And he just keeps deflecting when people have brought it up on Twitter. Like, he's not acting in good faith here. So just be aware. Don't buy it. Don't join the Kickstarter. Don't share it.
Be aware. Be aware. One thing you probably should get, and you were talking about, is ColdCard. So the ColdCard multisig plugin is merged into Electrum now. So the next official version should have it ready to go. You can just build it from official sources today, from source code. So that's a good step in self-sovereign multi-sig solutions there.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this one for a while. I'm glad that it's happened before the workshop. So that's fucking plus. Yeah, so now you can use ColdCard. And the big thing with this is you can use ColdCard multisig with partially signed Bitcoin transactions. So you don't have to connect your ColdCard to your computer to use it with Electrum. The thing with that is, talking about receive addresses, you can't verify the receive address through PSBT right now. You can't verify it on the device. You can only look at it on the computer screen. So we have a similar issue where, do you trust the screen? Do you have the... it's better because it's not in browser. And Rodolfo's working on basically like an address explorer on the ColdCard itself, so you can verify the address directly on the ColdCard. Alternatively,
so look up your XPub keys.
What was that?
Look up your XPub keys before...
No, you don't
plug it in, or
no. When you get a receive address, when you generate a receive address, how do you know it's the real address? You want to see it on the ColdCard screen, right? You can the only way you can do that right now is if you plug in the ColdCard. You can't do it with this SD card.
I see what you're saying.
Because
there we go.
Because the ColdCard doesn't know which address you're up to, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So he's adding.
That does make sense.
So he's adding an address explorer so that you can verify on device. It should be out relatively soon. Rodolfo's great.
Nice.
Which I chilled with Rodolfo a lot over the week. A lot, really
That
good
dude
time.
just keeps pushing shit out, man. I feel like every week we have a ColdCard update for you freaks.
Yeah, he's a hustler. I dig it. Always be shipping.
Always be shipping. Speaking of shipping, Noddle and the Samurai team are going to ship their special edition hardware nodes, so the pre-orders will be out soon. It is a red node, so it is scientifically faster than any node on the planet.
Yeah, the red is very sexy. I got to hold the hardware in Riga. I chilled with the Noddle guys a lot. So the hardware is really... They didn't have a case yet. The case isn't done, but the actual internals are done. So I got to hold the internals. The case they had there was just a cardboard box painted red, which is kind of funny. But it's a better chip, and it's gonna have 2 SSDs in it. So it'll have redundant storage if one of them fails, especially like if you're doing like an upgrade and one of them fails. So there's less risk of funds loss in that situation. I think that's a pretty big deal. And it's going to have full Samurai integration. So it'll be running Samurai Dojo. So you'll be able to just like open your Samurai app, pair it via QR code, I believe, with the Noddle, and you're good to go. And then you can start mixing with your own full node as well, which is great.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. And then updates on updates. Big week. A lot of shit getting pushed this week, man. It's good to see. It's almost hard to keep up with. Bisq, they added encrypted chat. So if you guys are using Bisq, you can now chat with your trading partners, I guess, within the app pretty easily now.
Yeah,
in an encrypted fashion.
Yeah, I mean it's directly person to person because every Bisq user is running a node basically. And it's all through Tor, and it's encrypted. So that's fucking huge, I think. Yeah, that's a big deal. Bisq is also one of the more important projects in this space right now, as a fiat on and off ramp. The interesting thing that I was thinking about BTC Pay is like the vision. I think is like you get like small merchants, in-store merchants like bodega owners, convenience store owners, right? To start accepting BTC Pay because they love cash already. So you have them start accepting BTC Pay. They accept Bitcoin. They get Bitcoin, but then they don't want the volatility risk of having all this Bitcoin. They can then sell small amounts back to people in their store. So they basically become like a KYC-free Bitcoin on and off ramp. And the only way to enforce against something like that would be to basically go into every single convenience store. And, convenience stores are famously, taking in cash and not paying full taxes and stuff already as it is, and they can't enforce that.
But if they can take our Jewel pods away, can they take our Bitcoin buying ability away?
Dude, I can't believe they did that. They just like ninja launched that in New York, man. Talk about government overreach. Fucking insane.
October 4th, man.
Insanity.
The black market for pods in the city is going to go through the roof.
It's so fucked up.
Get to your local bodega, buy them out as soon as possible.
It's so fucked up. They're basically banning like all the juice. It's like everything except what tastes like regular, like burnt tobacco and I guess like the straight mint ones. But who knows if those are next. And I think like it's just going to kill a bunch of mom and pop stores. And it's so fucked up because you can still order them by mail. They're still allowing you to order them by mail. So there's going to be like this black market. And all these people that have been dying because of black market weed cartridges. So really, if they fucking cared about the kids, they would just legalize and regulate weed and tax the shit out of it.
Yeah, I got a woke take on this. I just think Trump is trying to it's New York. But didn't Trump ban it too?
I think he's doing something about it, but New York came out really hard and fast and just...
San Francisco did it while we were in town, didn't they?
Yeah, and I remember being like,
too?
These stupid San Franciscans, what are they thinking? There's so much government overreach over here. And then it happened. I thought it was funny that this whole time Altria has been like, they haven't been able to get a piece of Jewel, and they finally got a piece of Jewel. They invested, and then like 2 months later, their whole business is going through the shitter.
Yeah, it's a cruel form of destiny there. I don't want to say justice, but yeah. No, it's interesting. The long dick of the law is encroaching yet again. The government, the coastal elites are here to save you from vaping.
I mean, I think there's definitely a lesson to be learned here, right? Because this is exactly how they this is how they attempt to ban popular things, right? You start seeing like a constant growth in media coverage, and then they like appeal to like compassion or to fear, and then they push the heavy changes onto the people. That's what we saw with like Patriot Act. That's what we see here with this. Like, and we could easily see something like that with Bitcoin, right? Like you have like a terrorist attack or something, and it's like funded by Bitcoin, and then they just move really fucking quickly.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to insert my view in one way or another, but just observationally, it seems like Beto O'Rourke's been hitting the media scene pretty hard about AR-15s, and obviously we have the huge climate marches around the world today as well. a lot of fear being spewed in the media. Maybe it might be being spewed to manipulate you in your actions. Just think about it. Be aware. Be aware.
I think, the Democrats, I don't like talking about politics, but the Democrats, they're idiots. They should just say they're going to legalize weed. That would be the biggest. If either party said they were going to legalize weed, it would just win the election. That's the issue. They got to make it happen.
Didn't Bernie come out and say he was going to do that?
Yeah.
Didn't Yang say he was going to do that too?
I mean, but Yang is like, he's Yang. I don't know. Enough politics. Let's not talk about politics.
Yeah, let's not talk about from politics to monetary policy. So earlier this week, actually, is probably a good topic to end on, macro. And so at the beginning of the week, I don't know if you freaks read the bent or were following the financial markets, particularly on Monday, Tuesday. What's considered the repo markets, the IOER rate, which is the overnight lending rate that banks trade their excess reserves at the Fed between each other. So there's the federal funds rate, which the Fed sets, and then all the banks try to get them within the range of that rate set, and the IOER rate usually reflects that, and that went out of whack, went up to like 7 to 8%, I believe, which is crazy because that rate, banks are usually buying things like treasuries and other types of debt via that market, and for interest rates to spike that quickly, that quickly, means there may be a liquidity crunch. So the Fed had to intervene, and they did what's called a repo operation, where they offered to buy up to $75 billion worth of debt. Monday, I believe they bought $53.1 billion. I don't know if it's fully served or fully sold any of the days, but they did a repo operation on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. And at the same time, the Fed came out and cut rates by 25 bips. A lot of people were speculating that they were going to go deeper than 25 bips to 50 bips and potentially even launch QE right away, because you never want to see the Fed have to intervene in markets within hours that abruptly, especially the day before a meeting. But they stood strong with the projected 25 bip cut, and so that's where we are now. So actually, Raoul, Paul, and we talked about that at length at the beginning of our episode. So if you want to hear more about that situation, you can do that there. But yeah, it seems as though there may be a liquidity crunch underway. A lot of these banks trying to get access to dollars to finance their debt between each other. It seems that it's getting harder for these institutions to find the dollars.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 20. What their cut was under what people expected, right? Like people expected they were going to cut more than they did. Would you say in general?
Well, the consensus going into. So you got to back up a little bit too. So heading into the weekend, last weekend, you had the Saudi Arabia and oil fields get quote unquote attacked. Who knows what happened there? But regardless what happened there, oil prices spiked over the weekend. And so there was like a little market scare over the weekend, and then rolling into Monday, having that repo rate go out of whack and having the Fed intervene sort of scared everybody a little more. So I bet everybody was like, things are looking like they're going to hit ahead. And so the consensus starting for a couple weeks is that we're going to cut 25 bips. And so with the Saudi Arabia thing and the repo operation, I guess people were speculating that things had gotten worse than and we're going to cut deeper, but they didn't. They decided to stick with 25 bips. I believe there was only one Fed Governor Bullard who wanted to cut 50 bips if you read the minutes.
Right. Got it. Appreciate the insight. I just,
Fed tea leaf reading is boring. It's a life I would not wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's so fucking.
This is why
ridiculous.
I stack sats. It's so much simpler. Sats are my safe haven.
Yes, they are. And it's been a big week, been a long week. Sorry if you're a little sluggish. Again, Matt's been traveling the world. We're remote. I am honestly exhausted after this week. I've recorded. Got a very good episode in last night with the team, with Mauricio and Adam from Ledin.io up in Canada. Mauricio is a Venezuelan who gave us a lot of good information, where we talked a lot about what's actually happening on the ground in LATAM. And we were up late drinking Venezuelan rum, so I'm a little hungover as well right now. But look out for that episode too, because it's crazy what's going on there, and it is important to be realistic with how Bitcoin is being used down there, and how people view cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in general down there.
I'm really looking forward to that one. I also want to apologize to the freaks for a weaker than usual episode. We love you guys, so we definitely needed to get it out. We knew that, but it's very early here, and I am just fucking wiped. I'm fucking exhausted. But yeah, I hope they dig it. This was just an insane.
I'd say it's a weaker episode.
It's an insane week.
Just like,
I don't know. I'm kind of
insane
sluggish. I've been sluggish, and my brain's not working at full capacity. So but you give it what you got.
Well, if you like the other content we put out this week, please please let your friends know. Subscribe. Again, every subscribe button hit goes a long way. Every review written goes a long way. We really appreciate your support. And we got a shout out. It'd be remiss if we ended this episode without a shout out. And here's the shout out. No name. It just says, "Shoot your shot, Uncle Marty and Matt."
There you go. We shout our shot. I like it.
We're always shooting. I'm always shooting. Don't worry.
Exactly.
And that's always shooting too.
And next week is gonna be fucking awesome, because we're gonna be reunited back in person. Have a nice week of rest. I'm ready to go. Ready to hit the world again.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's all we got this week, freaks.
Stay humble, stack sets.
Peace and love.